Hey, what's up? I'm Pascal from Orangepixel and welcome to another video. So on this channel I try to talk about the serious side of things and the business side and the realistic side of things. Now for new viewers who are just entering this channel for the first time, first of all make sure to subscribe for a new video every week. But second of all, I've been running Orangepixel for 20 years. This year is my 20-year anniversary and I've seen a lot, if not all of it, happen throughout these 20 years. But the last couple of years in the industry have seen a lot of struggle and problems and issues show up, mostly for a lot of big companies with a lot of layoffs, various publishers and developers quitting, and a lot of other companies outside that bubble are also quitting and giving up, or giving up doesn't sound right, but they have to close shop pretty much. And I could probably fill a whole video about that, but we're not going into that. I probably came up with a very doom and gloom title for this video. Sorry for that. But I have seen changes in my own business, and of much smaller scale because I don't have people working for me. But I have seen changes and I am slightly worried about, well, this year it's not a great year for me, and I'm slightly worried about next year. So I want to dive into that a little bit more in this video, because this intro has been way too long. So let's do a real intro and we'll talk about some of these things. Now my big project Regulator City is almost done. It will be done November-ish, and then I'll have to find out when the best time is to release it. I released Gauntlet of Power a few months ago, so all those things are there, and I have still revenue coming in from my mobile versions and my older games on PC and consoles. Switch revenue coming in. Everywhere there is still money coming in, but it's getting less. So I need a way to fix that. I need a new income stream to hopefully support all the other projects I have going on. Now I'm running Orangepixel as a business and not some misguided indie game development dream about creating games, hit games and make a lot of money. It's a business for me and it has to pay the bills around here. So in business you always try to look at opportunities and where can you expand to, or if you maybe should pivot a little bit of what you're doing. Right now I see an opportunity in web games, HTML5 games, online in your browser, playable, but also playable in many other services that are right now available, but also coming. So a few weeks ago I made the video Steam versus Pokey or something like that, or Steam versus HTML5, not sure what it was called, but it was something like that, announcing the plans for looking into web games. I decided to split it up in a couple of phases. Phase 1 was digging out my old HTML games. I had games up and running for the Chromebook and Firefox OS. They ran in JavaScript, HTML, whatever you want to call it. I just had to dig out the source code somewhere. Luckily I found it on a drive and made it more modern and up to date and up to speed to current way of how things are handled. This code was written in 2015, I think, so that's almost a decade old already. And JavaScript is a funny language. It constantly changes. If you look at it 5 years from now, there's gonna be new things and there's gonna be new methods and ways to do things. I'm not gonna get into that. I know there's already a couple of programmers and JavaScript people typing in stuff right now. Stop it. You can drop the comment, but let's not go into a fight about it. JavaScript is a fun language. There is no good way or right way. In the last couple of days I've been looking how to do certain things, how to handle touchscreen, how to handle whatever. But if I look for answers, I find 5 to 10 different answers. There is no right one. So I'm just figuring out what works for me. I'm going with that. Not everybody's gonna like it, but if it runs, it runs. And that's the key thing here. So phase 1 was getting Gunslugs 1 and 2. Those are the games I found. I found another one, Chrono and Cash, I think, but that's not important. Gunslugs 1 and 2, get them up and running. And I got them up and running. Because what you see here is full screen Gunslugs, but it's running in my browser. As you can see, I can click on this link. It goes full screen. I can turn on the music. I can turn it off. I can do things with sound effects. I updated some of these things to make them more friendly to pretty much the web. So we have one big play button, click on it. Can click on it, but you can also play with the keyboard. If I hit the right keys it is, and then we go in. Let's quickly start a mission here. And let's shoot some guys and bad guys and whatever, blah, blah. This is pretty much the game that has also been released on a huge amount of different platforms. So this is pretty much phase 1 done. And I've been working on making sure that the code is now updated and works in modern browsers. Still have to check some browsers like Safari and whatever. But it works on most of the standard browsers that a lot of people use. And I also have it up and running on mobile. This is Gunslugs 2 running on the Android device. It's full screen. It has touch controls. Let me see if I can hit these things here over there a little bit. I can't see what I'm doing, but you get the point. So what's left on phase 1 is get it uploaded to a couple of sites or one site. Gonna focus on Poke first. I'll have to implement advertising somehow so that I can actually make some money from these games. So these games run on outdated code, but they run, and that's the main thing. I can actually test the water with it. I see these two games like my little toe. It's gonna dip a little bit in the pool and see what happens. We'll get proper code up and running, but that's phase 2. So phase 2 is what I'm currently working on. I have been tinkering on it actually during the weekend, which is a terrible idea. I should take weekends off. But it's a lot of fun diving into it. I looked up how modern JavaScript works, and I've been changing and tweaking and just rebuilding my own framework or game engine if you like. I know I could be using Phaser or one of the many other JavaScript game engines, but I want my own framework and I want it to be as close to the actual version I have for PC and console games and other versions, so that I can easily exchange code from one to the other. I have some experience with JavaScript because I actually wrote games in it back in the days when we called it DHTML, Dynamic HTML. So that's like 1997. I have been tinkering with games ever since. Every now and then I look at it. It's a lot of fun to work on it because you can just open a browser and have stuff running in it. Pretty much your browser is your game engine. Now I need my own framework there, so I can quickly build games in it. And then we can start working on the next phase. And this is going to be the interesting one and the fun one. Come up with a smart little game idea. And I'm talking like very simple stuff here. Whack-a-mole maybe, or Flappy Bird. I'm not liking that idea, but that's the realm we're talking about. Very simple games that the player can pick up and get into the actual gameplay within 5 to 10 seconds and understand what has to happen and enjoy themselves for just a little bit. These are very different games compared to the big games I'm working on right now. Regulator City is a 3-year project. These games should be like a 3-week project. Probably more like 4 or 5 weeks. But you get the gist. It's gonna be a tiny little games. And then the first game is just, is it a viable thing? Am I maybe walking on the wrong path here, or am I looking at something that might get me that extra revenue stream so that I can work on the bigger projects while every now and then push out a smaller project. Now the goal for that would be like maybe earn 3,000-4,000 euros on a game. Not sure that's possible. We're gonna try it with a couple of games. If none of those actually get me that much money, it's probably not worth my time to keep working on it. So that first game is actually pretty important, and it's gonna be a good game design. I have to come up with something, and probably gonna look at what other people are already playing on the web, clone it maybe as simple as that, clone it in my own style, and we'll see how that goes. Now the goal for phase 3 is end of this year. Have something out there as soon as possible, hopefully end of the year or early next year. I need to know if this makes sense, if this is actually a good business opportunity for me to dive into, or if I'm barking up the wrong tree and I have to figure out different things to make money from. So I have to get stuff out as soon as possible. But it's not just about releasing this game out there. Of course, the first thing I'm going to try is get it on Poke. If that doesn't work, there's Crazy Games, there's many other different distribution channels. Those are all options out there that already make money for other developers. Let's see if I can get a little bit of the money coming towards me. That's the first option. That's the first thing I'm going to look into. But there are other options out there. And the more I've been digging into this and diving into it, the more I came up with for opportunities. Discord activities. There's a lot of talk about that as it's coming. I think something is coming. I read an article lately that they have like, Discord has like 2 million active users a month, I think. Some of the developers right now are making good money of it. Discord is perfect in that sense for a platform for people to play games on. And that also means multiplayer games, obviously. So I'll have to figure out something like that, how to do multiplayer games, because I think it just makes sense. You have all these gamers, all these non-gamers, everybody's on Discord somewhere in a server somehow. Launch a game in your server, and as a developer you get to play it with your audience. They'll play it, distribute it, talk about it in other servers, and it just makes sense. I'm not sure yet how much sense, but to me it does seem to make sense. So Discord activities, I think Facebook still has something going on somewhere with games in Messenger or whatever. Not sure. Facebook isn't really a reliable party because they're just like Google. They create stuff, they don't like it, they forget about it, or it doesn't run properly. Not a fan of it, but it's another opportunity. Another very simple option for me is to use them as a marketing tool. Right now I released Gauntlet of Power 4 months ago. Check last week's video if you want to know more about that game. How about we create one room of that game, add the graphics of that game, and we let the players play a free version. It's just a fun game. How long can you survive in a single Gauntlet of Power room with these weapons and some loot and a lot of enemies, like a lot of enemies coming at you. Very simple web type game, very casual, very easy to get into and jump into. But it also markets my full version of Gauntlet of Power. So you like this room, check out the full game on Steam or Switch or mobile or wherever I released it. So it could also be a fun and interesting marketing tool. Now when I have enough of these little games, I can actually put them up on my own website, add advertising around it, maybe some video ads before you play or after you play, whatever. I could possibly make money from that, but I probably need a lot more games to make that work. But it's another business opportunity I see for web games, and that only works for these web games and not for my other games. So it's very interesting that all these things are available. I just have to figure out what works the best. Now, interesting enough, after the last video I did, Steam versus HTML5, I had a couple of people contacting me about web games, work for hire like things. I had I had two opportunities, and one I don't really consider serious, but I had two actual, I think, solid leads for web development, work for hire type things. I'm not there with my own tech yet, I'm not there with my experience yet, in my opinion, and I'm certainly not there yet with my head. I want to create my own games right now, but it's interesting to see that there's actually opportunities there. Of course there's work for hire for people that do Unity and Unreal, but I don't use those game engines on PC or consoles. I use my own Java weirdness. It works for me, but it does limit the work I can take on for others. Also, I think it's a pretty saturated market for PC games and console games, porting stuff, or just building games. There's so much competition out there. I don't want to get involved in that at all. But for web games, could be interesting for sure. Okay, I'm sorry for blasting all this information into this video. I'm very excited about the possibilities I see in web games, and I know it's not a new thing. There's a lot of developers already on board and doing it, and but for me it's new and interesting and refreshing from what I'm currently working on. Regulator City is now in its 3rd year of development. Crazy. Gauntlet of Power was a very tiny idea and project, but because we're releasing it on Steam and on console, you need to have deep amount of content and deep amount of gameplay and alternate little gameplay twists here and there. That's a lot of fun to create, but it's also very risky business because you'll work on them a lot longer. It's going to be hard to make back the money. These web games, hopefully, my goal is to make them within 4 or 5 weeks each. And maybe I'll even do YouTube videos where I challenge myself to create a web game in 5 days. Start on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Okay, make it 4 days or 3.5, because on Thursday I'd have to edit the video, have that game online available. You get to see me create the game on the video and then actually be able to play it online. I think that's another interesting opportunity of web games. That would actually grow my YouTube channel content, and it would allow me to create little things that don't take months or years to develop. So yeah, excitement all over for me. I think Aline, my wife, I've been talking about this last week or so, about all the stuff I want to do and I want to work on. she's going crazy a little bit, so she's actually now gone. She's in the storage box, just escaping my rambling. So I'm gonna end this video right now, right here. Thanks for watching. If you have anything to mention or add about web games, drop it in the comments below. Come say hi on the Discord, come hang out, talk about it, whatever. I made an actual channel for it there. I'm gonna log everything I do concerning the web games. Building a framework this week, as soon as I'm done editing this video. It's now Monday 1 p.m. As soon as I'm done editing the video, the rest of the week I'll be working on the framework. Hopefully it will be done by Thursday when this video goes live. That's my goal. I want all of this done fast and quick, and it has to be just has to be simple again, like the good old days. So yeah, I think that's all I had to say. Thanks for watching. Next week, probably going to talk about Regulator City. Almost there. Pretty cool. Maybe I'll do a little gameplay session and talk about it. If you have questions about that game, drop them in the comments as well, and I'll answer them in the video. Okay, I have to calm down now, so thanks for watching. I'll edit the video. See you next week. Bye. I'm just so very excited. Sorry, that's very excited.